We see her, we know her, and we know her political stance. But what else do we know about the woman behind the desk who we see each night on the Ingraham angle? Who is she when the cameras turn off and she heads back to her home in Washington, D.C.? Laura Ingraham has always been at the forefront when it comes to political media. But this time, we're peeling back the curtains to get to know who she really is. From her discreet Washington home to her private family of 4, join us as we explore the family, faith, and off-camera life of Laura Ingraham. We all know her as a conservative TV presenter, the face and the host of Fox News' The Ingraham Angle. But strip that away. Who is she really? First and foremost, she is a single mother to 3 beautiful children. Ingraham has adopted her daughter Maria and sons Nikolai and Michael from different cultural backgrounds. Her small family is diverse and multicultural, and she is raising them as best as she can as a single mom. Make no mistake, Ingraham herself was born and raised in a household with both a mother and father, with 3 other siblings. Her eldest is her daughter Maria Caroline, whom she adopted in Guatemala back in 2008 when she was just 3 years old. Born on May 11, 2005, Maria was an orphan and had lived with kids like her at a local orphanage in Guatemala before the Fox News anchor found her. As we all know, regular adoption is already hard enough as it is, so can you imagine how tough international adoption is? So, when the process was finally over, and Maria's papers were greenlit, to say that Ingraham was overjoyed is an understatement. The Fox News personality booked a trip to Guatemala and flew home with her daughter, thus welcoming the first addition to her small family. Laura Ingraham even tried to connect with Maria better, so she learned Spanish so the new mother and daughter duo can communicate with each other better. Last year, Maria had just achieved her biggest milestone yet, graduating from high school. Ingraham even shared a photo slide of Maria on her Instagram page from when she was a toddler, followed by Maria holding her diploma and the mother and daughter hugging. "Congratulations, our sweet Maria," Ingraham wrote as a caption. "So proud of you." Now, Maria is a college student pursuing nursing at Texas A&M University. Moving on from Maria, we also have Michael Dimitri, Laura Ingraham's second child. Michael's exact birth date wasn't specified since public records didn't detail it. But what we do know is that he was just a year old when Laura Ingraham adopted him in Russia back in 2010. Some say he was born in June 2009, but there were no official documents that supported this claim. Compared to Maria, Michael's social media presence is far less, but what we do know about him is that his mother says he is growing like a weed and is very fond of Legos. Like Maria's adoption process, Ingraham also struggled with Michael's, especially since there's a strained diplomatic relationship between Russia and the U.S. Thankfully, his adoption pulled through, and Ingraham was able to bring him home. Laura Ingraham is fiercely protective of her kids' privacy, so not much is known about Michael, besides reports claiming that he's attending high school at a private school in McLean, Virginia. Lastly, we have the Fox News personality's youngest child, another son whose name is Nikolai Peter. Like Michael, Nikolai also came from Russia, was born in 2010, and was adopted the following year by Ingraham. Ingraham described her youngest as stubborn, strong, and smart. And despite being a little hard-headed, the boy gets along with his siblings and mother pretty well. Looking at them right now, or at least the glimpse Ingraham allows us to see of her small, close-knit family, you'd never imagine the hardships she faced just to create this home of hers. In a 2021 interview with The Wrap, the conservative TV presenter finally shared her thoughts about her family and international adoption. Ingraham's whole personality is rooted in media politics, but there is one thing she refuses to mix politics with, and it's adoption. Specifically, international adoption. She told The Wrap back then that adoption needs to be about children and what's best for them. Children should never be used as bargaining chips by one nation against another. She spoke candidly of the subject. They're not commodities. This should never be about politics. Preventing the adoption of a child of any age into a loving, safe home is selfish and cruel. Would streamlining background checks and home visits mean cutting corners that would put them in jeopardy? No one wants to see that happen. One horror story of adoptive parents abusing kids is all it takes for a country to shut down all their international adoptions, leaving tens, even hundreds of thousands of kids without a forever home. During the interview, she also opened up about how adopting her youngest, Nikolai, was the hardest of the 3 adoptions. What's more, She says his was among the last group of inter-country adoptions granted by Russia before the country banned future adoptions to American families. As a single parent, Laura Ingraham went through extra hurdles, since few countries allow single parents to adopt, with many preferring to have children placed in two-family homes. The Fox News personality is already aware of how hard the adoption process was going to be, and even prepared herself for the roller coaster of emotions that comes with it. But until you're a parent, you have no idea how challenging it is to be one, she says. Even as someone with financial means, raising children as a single parent is the hardest thing I'll ever do. Since God blessed me, I felt a responsibility to give more of myself, married or not, to children who needed a family, and I had always dreamed of being a mom. Throughout this whole ordeal, Laura Ingraham offered a few tips for anyone considering adoption. First, she suggests parents should talk to as many adoptive parents as they can and prepare themselves that it's a lifelong commitment with no guarantees. After that, they should learn to organize and keep files, then sign up with a respected adoption agency. She also warns them to keep an eye out for disreputable attorneys who waste time and would bleed them dry. On top of that, she encourages them to be patient and determined to get through the process once they have decided, and most importantly, to trust in God. The adoption processes she went through were challenging enough, but Laura Ingraham had one more challenge she never thought she'd face when she adopted her daughter Maria. Early last year, Laura Ingraham went through another stressful event in her life. After raising her daughter Maria all by herself for the last almost 2 decades, her world nearly crumbled when Maria's biological parents appeared and demanded she return her daughter to them. Reports of this event came out during the second quarter of last year, when Ingraham's neighbors revealed that 2 strangers came knocking at her door a few weeks after Maria's 19th birthday. Her neighbors detailed that the couple introduced themselves as Juan and Mariela, the biological parents of her eldest child. The couple reportedly has official documents and demanded Maria's return to them. Other key information details that the couple came from rural Guatemala, claiming that their daughter was taken from them during the time the country was being wrecked by civil war. Despite their hopeless scenario, Juan and Mariela pushed on, hoping to find their daughter, until one non-profit organization decided to lend them a hand. The said organization was not named, but they say the former aims to reunite families torn apart by international adoptions gone wrong. We don't know about you, but Laura Ingraham has always been vocal about the incredibly hard adoption process she followed through just to bring Maria home with her in the United States. So, following the couple's claim, is it possible that Maria's adoption is also a result of an international adoption gone wrong? Juan and Mariela's dedicated search led them to the very front door of Laura Ingraham's home. Neighbors who saw the whole drama unfold share that the couple looked like they had been planning to do this for years, seeing how there was so much emotion in their eyes, but they were firm in their resolve. Ingraham, on the other hand, never expected to be part of a dramatic encounter and was caught blindsided by it. But as a mother, she decided to set aside her feelings and focus on protecting Maria from potential harm. Ingraham has opened up about this whole ordeal to a few close friends, and according to them, the news anchor tearfully admitted that she could not imagine a life without Maria. Despite her strong persona online, even Ingraham becomes pretty vulnerable when matters of her children are involved. She's everything to me, and I will fight for her like any mother would. So far, there are no updates following this issue, and given Laura Ingraham's determined nature to keep her personal life out of the limelight, it doesn't look like we'll get to witness how the story unfolds in real time. Parentage issue aside, this matter also opens a big can of worms concerning the legal complications of the adoption system. As stated before, all of Laura Ingraham's adoptions were legal and underwent all necessary procedures at the time. But ever since Juan and Mariela inserted themselves in the equation, the whole situation has been much more complex than we all thought. International adoptions are pretty tricky, especially those that took place in the early 2000s. Why? It's because under the surface, there are a lot of unethical practices and widespread corruption involved. In 2001 alone, the National Adoption Information Clearinghouse reported that there were approximately 127,407 American children adopted in the U.S. alone. So just imagine how many there are when it comes to international adoptions, and even more so, the undocumented ones. Even though Ingraham does her best to keep the issue under wraps, of course, a few news outlets have picked up on this story. From there, legal experts can help but share a thing or two about the issue. Even if Ingram's adoption were documented and executed under the law, Maria's alleged biological parents could still challenge the adoption on the grounds of many factors, with improper consent being foremost. Legal battles like these could drag on for years, which could result in an emotionally, financially, and mentally draining process for all parties involved. Besides the legal experts, of course, the public has already weighed in on the issue, with supporters and critics of Ingraham having polarizing opinions. On one hand, her fans have been pouring out their support, rallying behind her and claiming that Maria's biological parents are just exploiting the situation for their own personal gains. On top of that, her supporters have also expressed their frustration toward meddling organizations, saying they do more harm by tearing families apart. Of course, Ingraham's critics have a more objective take on the whole situation, pointing out that the issue is much more complex and that Maria's biological parents have the right to seek their daughter. As a result, Laura Ingraham would have to face the repercussions of a flawed adoption system. Through all of this, many can't help but point out Maria's deafening silence over the whole matter. She's already 19 and is of legal age, but she will always be Laura Ingraham's daughter, at least in the latter's eyes. Maria has yet to share any public statement, though some of her friends share that she is overwhelmed and confused by her biological parents' sudden appearance. We can only hope and pray that the Ingrahams, as well as Maria's biological parents, reach a favorable outcome throughout this whole issue. As a single mom, some hurdles are too hard to face alone, which makes one wonder, will Laura Ingraham ever find a husband? Raising these 3 kids has been pretty challenging for Ingraham as a lone parent, and for those of you who are curious, she almost got hitched once. Laura Ingraham was once engaged to a Chicago businessman named James V. Reyes back in April 2005. She broke the wonderful news on her radio program, The Laura Ingraham Show. But as fate would have it, something came up that got in the way of her engagement: her breast cancer diagnosis. Being the strong-willed woman that she is, Ingraham underwent treatment and came out victorious. However, her diagnosis and treatment proved to be too difficult for her partner, so just a month after she shared her engagement, Ingraham told her listeners right then and there that the wedding was off. Although she remains single to this day, Laura Ingraham has quite a long string of prominent ex-lovers. Let's start with her college boyfriend for a time, the American Indian commentator Dinesh D'Souza. Back when they were both attending Dartmouth University in the early 80s, he and Ingraham were together for a little while, and it all started when they worked together at the Dartmouth Review. Actually, Ingraham and D'Souza were even engaged at one point, but sadly, nothing panned out. Dating among your peers is a collective experience, so it's no surprise that Laura Ingraham once dated broadcaster Keith Olbermann in 1998. You could say the opposite attracts with this pairing because while Ingraham is known for her right-wing views, there's Olbermann, who is an outspoken liberal. Be that as it may, the broadcaster revealed that their different views were not the reason for their breakup. At least that's what he said. On Ingraham's side, their clashing political views would have been a major deal-breaker in their relationship, especially in how she criticized him after hearing Olbermann's comments about then U.S. President George Bush. Besides Olbermann, word got around that Laura Ingraham was also romantically linked to former politician Robert Torricelli back in 1999. They do make a very odd couple, since Torricelli is a known Democrat, while Ingraham is known for her conservative views. Still, the rumors about these two dating were never confirmed because they never addressed this dating rumor. After Torricelli, Ingraham was also linked to economist Lawrence H. Summers, but just like her dating rumor with Torricelli, neither party confirmed if this was true. As of the moment, Laura Ingraham is not tied to any man, nor is she known to be dating anyone. But given her highly secretive personal life, it won't be surprising if she is secretly dating somebody as we speak. So, officially, her last known relationship was with James V. Reyes. But even that took a back seat when she was forced to deal with her cancer diagnosis. For some, getting a cancer diagnosis is like getting a death sentence, and yet for Laura Ingraham, it made her feel more blessed than she ever was before. Back in 2020, Ingraham sat down with Stacey Gualandi of Cancer Connect to talk more about the media personality's cancer diagnosis and treatment. Laura Ingraham was fortunate enough to catch her cancer diagnosis pretty early on. Determined to fight off her illness, she underwent chemotherapy and even lost her hair. Like many who have suffered the same, there were times when she felt bleak and hopeless. Despite the darkness and difficult days, she braved through it and talks about how amazing things began happening to her. Ingraham revealed how her bout with cancer brought her to a place of clarity in her own life. Sure, each of us realizes that we're all going to die someday, but at the same time, she acknowledges that most of us don't want to talk about it. We want to think we're going to live forever and we can go about our merry ways and la. Well, it turns out that, when you get that tap on the shoulder, you either pay attention or you just, keep going on, she says of her bout with cancer. For her, she decided it's time to view her life, choices, and path and do better. She says it was an awful time, but it was glorious at the same time. Another key takeaway from her interview here is that she tells people not to let a diagnosis devastate them. It's easy to say it and sometimes not easy to do it because, believe me, there were days and nights where, I cried and quieted down, she revealed. But put one foot in front of the other because I saw the examples of so many other cancer thrivers. I don't call them survivors, I call them thrivers. Most importantly, she tells them that they need to keep on living and not make cancer their brand. It shouldn't be the defining characteristic of their lives. Thankfully, those dark days regarding her health are well behind her now. This probably makes the viewers curious about what Laura Ingraham is doing now, right? The conservative TV presenter keeps a tight leash on what she shares with the media, even to this day. Right now, she lives quietly with her children in her McLean, Virginia home, an affluent suburb in the D.C. metro area. Her home sits on an impressive 2-acre lot, with the house itself boasting 7,869 square feet. According to Go Banking Rates, she purchased the house back in 2014 for $1.6 million, and as of 2025, her McLean home is approximately valued at $3.3 million. Other than this, Ingraham was also the owner of a lavish historic colonial row house on 28th Street in the Woodley Park neighborhood of Washington, D.C. Built in 1922, the house was fully renovated and has 3 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms with a skylit master bedroom. Ingraham soon put the property for sale on the market in 2007 for $1.3 million.